The best parents in the animal kingdom. Isn't it fascinating to note that some animals tend to reproduce a large number of offspring with a relatively low chance of survival, while other animals only reproduce a small number with a high chance of survival? Animals like humans also reproduce, with the only difference being that they utilize a wide range of reproductive strategies. Animals, unlike humans, are generally expected to support and defend themselves. Their parents usually take very little care of their offspring, as it simply doesn't make much sense for their parents to dedicate a lot of time or attention to defending or feeding these young creatures, especially when most of them will die anyway. However, in some cases, some animals also devote a lot of time to better providing for their offspring. This makes sense, as parents have already invested a lot of time in the development of their young offspring, and these small creatures must thrive and enter adulthood. So in today's video, we'll be listing the best parents in the animal kingdom. The first one on that list we have is the orangutans. Being from the Hominidae family, they are more commonly known to the basic person as the great apes. The thing that's so special about orangutans is that they make a lot of effort to raise their offspring, as all members of this species invest a lot of their time and energy for this purpose. The reason behind their impeccable form of care could be attributed to the length of their gestation period, which is almost similar to that of humans. It's worth noting that most female orangutans have an 8-month pregnancy period prior to the birth of their offspring. During the next few months, the mother tends to bear her fresh offspring nearly endlessly to ensure that the youngster is not separated and also that it's not consumed by any intruder. For this purpose, the mother orangutan will nurse, groom, and take care of her baby for a very long time. In fact, some orangutans will take care of their offspring, which includes breastfeeding, for upwards to 8 years of age. Another interesting fact is that even as soon as the youngster starts climbing on his own, manages to take care of himself, and figures out how to get his own food, the offspring yet still continues to live with the mother orangutan until he hits 10 years of age or more. Many female orangutans still manage to visit their offspring long into their mid-teens. Next on the list are the giant Pacific octopus. The phrase, "looks can be deceiving," is a perfect way to describe these creatures, as they are in fact great mothers. The Pacific octopus takes better care of its offspring than most animals. Most of the peculiar features of the Pacific octopus is that it produces a huge number of embryos, which can be up to 400,000 eggs in some cases. The Pacific octopus tends to go out of its way to defend its eggs. This is relatively uncommon, since most of the animals that tend to have a large number of offspring don't do anything to shield them. When the Pacific octopus is about to lay its eggs, it tries to look for a safe nook or cranny in the rocks. Only then does it expel the eggs and then sort them into a single mass. For a period of 6 months, it blows water over the eggs to aerate the egg mass while cradling them in her arms and keeping them protected from any threats. The Pacific octopus doesn't eat at this period, due to which it normally grows very small. As the incubation process continues, eventually it hits the end of its life by the time the eggs hatch, usually drifting off until it dies a short time later. The third animal that we have on our list is the hornbills. This animal is named after its unusual-looking beak and comes from a family consisting of 55 different species. From Africa all the way to the Solomon Islands in the southern Pacific Ocean, they normally live in forests where there are a lot of plants and rodents, lizards, and other small prey. The most fascinating fact about these birds is the manner in which they reproduce. Now, we all know that nesting sites are relatively rare, especially in tropical forests. For this purpose, the male is responsible for identifying and planning the nest in most hornbill species. Some also line the nest with leaves and other soft materials for the mother and the eggs she's about to make. As soon as the female reaches the cavity, the male covers up the entrance with mud and feces. The male hornbill leaves just a small opening into which food can flow. The female will stay within the cavity, fully dependent on the male for a few weeks while the egg will hatch and the young will begin to develop. Once the newly hatched bird is grown and able to fly, the mother would break through the cavity for it to fly away. Lastly, we have the killdeer, which is another set of bird species. Similar to the hornbills, these birds also go to great lengths to protect their little ones. Since they nest on the ground, the eggs are susceptible to a number of predatory threats. They have therefore established a range of valuable adaptations to defend their eggs. One of the remarkable things the killdeer does to shield its eggs and offspring is to put itself in a vulnerable position. When a killdeer sees an intruder coming, it always leaves the nest and starts jumping about on the ground, as if its wing was broken, distracting the predator. Because of this, the predator tends to go for the mother instead of the eggs. Once the killdeer thinks she's far enough away from the nest, she quits pretending that her wing is broken and flies away. Although this strategy typically works, in rare cases, the female ends up being trapped by the predator. Thanks for watching this video, and do subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified of more of our interesting and informative videos about the animal kingdom and unique species.